Welcome to True Power with Simi Arora. This is a space where we talk about success, creativity, and mental health, not as individual topics, but meeting each other at the intersection. I have lived and experienced different cultures. And what I've learned through my experience is that success is not about hustling hard, but about aligning with your true self. And today we're going to have this conversation with our amazing guest who has built so much of success in his life and is going to unlock his true powers and share the wisdom, the success code, and all that he stands up for in today's podcast. Join me in welcoming Anuj Sharma, who has left the multi-billion-dollar global system to go back to his roots. He is impacting the ecosystem and repositioning the wealth where it belongs. So very warm welcome, Anuj, on this show today. And I'd like to start our conversation by learning more about your journey of creating such tremendous amount of success in your life. So how do you feel about that?
Hi, Simi. First of all, such a pleasure, honor to be here. And one of the most amazing thing which I can foresee in our conversation is I'm talking to somebody who's equally passionate, successful, and also a globetrotter in terms of different things that she has made things happen. So the journey has been in its own way interesting. There are always ups and downs. I can talk about it differently. But the cool thing about the journey is you meet so many interesting people. You kind of identify and live different kind of experiences, and you evolve in a way which you are today is far different than what you started with.
Absolutely. You
Yes.
keep on evolving
Yeah.
over time. And I'm sure this journey was also full of different types of ups and downs and experiences, which is the case with pretty much everybody. Would you like to share some of the big challenges that you went through, something that really shifted how you saw the world and your business?
So, maybe if I go back, and that's something which I feel now proud of. Like, I come from a family where we have a tradition, and a crazy tradition, that you donate whatever you inherit
Oh,
in your lifetime. So what does this mean is, like, my father, when he was 25 and his father, my grandfather, expired, he was having an inheritance which was pretty big, like 36 acres land, a big palatial house and temple and lots of other things. He donated and started from scratch. Now, in the today's context, it looks very weird. It looks very crazy. And in the journey, when I look back, like, there were like lots of things, like coming from a so-called underserved or impoverished geographies, or you say under-resourceful geographies, if you are the situations, is that you feel you are poor. Poverty is all about lack of resources in different ways, or the directions or other things as well. So coming from there, I've kind of discovered that journey is not easy. Like, it is very difficult. And I was saying, why me, or why we as a family? But this journey was important to be what I am today. So kind of had lots of setbacks in terms of, I will say, education system and other things. I was not able to pass in any single exam. Like, I tried into the engineering, the defense, kind of lied in the MBAs. I was not knowing what to do. Like, somehow was able to get through some kind of initial studies and other things, and went on to work for the third richest person in the world as well.
wow.
Some other kind of crazy guys, if I put it like this. But that's where I understood that they see wealth in a very different way. At the same time, my value systems was also very different and unique. So if I combine things, I see wealth in a very different way myself. So the so-called billionaires, or the richest people of the world, they see with a little bit of a condescending view that they are afraid of their own existence. At the same time, they're also afraid of what if scenarios.
Yeah.
So if I go back, the most richest person in the world are making nuclear bunkers for themselves, because they're afraid, what if something happens?
Yeah.
Or what if the agriculture is not there? They are trying to acquire the biggest agricultural land, like Mark Zuckerberg is doing, Bill Gates is doing, Elon Musk is doing, and OpenAI guy is also doing. And that makes things very interesting. On the other side, we are talking about people who are underserved. They don't have anything to fear. So what if we flip the wealth system in a way where it deserves, where it should be? So that's what I'm trying to do it.
Yeah.
And the journey is very important. Journey is interesting. I love to travel. I love to meet people. And I see so much amazing, resilient people. You just need to find a way to trust them, have a rapport with them, and they will navigate you in where you're going. Yeah.
I would like to go deeper into this repositioning the wealth.
Yeah.
And I also am aware that you have more women in your workspace, or I'd say equivalent or more in number. And this is such a beautiful thing as a man that you are bringing on the table for these women and opening the opportunities for them to grow. Was this an intentional decision? And what motivated that decision?
So if I go back again, like who likes a boring world? Like
Yeah.
if it was just black and white, I think we all will die. So when we are talking about creativity, we are talking about innovation, we are talking about vibrance, colorful thing, you always need to talk about feminine energies. And when you're talking about feminine energies, many times we take it as a one-dimensional approach. It is not. It is a multi-dimensional approach. And rather than saying that your office has more people, I feel like, are we comfortable seeing them as leaders? Are we comfortable seeing them to build businesses? And also deciding where the financial system should go.
Yeah.
And we are in mess in terms of financial system and other things because we are not listening to them. So you need more patience, and you also need to reposition the way we are talking about wealth.
That's fantastic. And you brought up a very important point earlier, talking about undeserved, right? And there's a lot of disparity, right? The richer are getting richer, and they have more fear, and the one that are fearless are probably deprived of some opportunities, right? So how do you see this shifting? I mean, this shift is happening, and you are the big catalyst of making that happen. But where do you see the advantage?
So one of the cool thing about the fearless people is the people who don't have any precedents is they do something which we call as impossible. So we have been, from the education system, if you see across the globe, we have been made or trained in terms of following a certain path and the path of least resistance. Not that we can take a risk, but go with something which is already set.
Yeah.
How you will make new paths, how you create something new or path breaking. And today, when we are talking about the so-called rich people, they are not rich actually. Like one is they are miserable. They are having their own crazy times, insecurities, which are far more. That's why they kind of claim, oh, we are very happy. We are trying to showcase different kind of wealth. At the same time, there is a very important thing is that this is paper money. It's not real money.
Yeah.
They are not even, in a real sense, they are not even happy. So what is primarily defined as wealth? So we had a guy here who we used to say is Big Bull, Sarake Junjunwala. He comes from the same district of mine. We said like he's the best guy, he's the most wealthy person and others. But we forget that he was deprived of two basic things in his life. From the late 20s, he was not able to eat sugar because he had a lifestyle disease. He had what? Diabetes.
Yeah.
Later on, he was not able to walk properly because he was so unhealthy. Yes, he had billions of dollars, but what is it for use if you can't enjoy that wealth?
Yeah.
So you are kind of going into
Balance,
one-dimensional
which is-
thing.
yeah.
Yes. And he by himself stated that if I go back in my life, what is the one thing which I definitely want to acquire or have this thing corrected properly is my health.
And so is the case with Steve Jobs, where
Yeah.
he explicitly mentioned about not paying attention to important aspects of his life, could be health as well as emotional well-being and relationships.
Yeah.
And that leads me to the next question, which is about your journey of growth, right? You started from a humble background, and then you also worked in the United States. How was that experience for you? How that it helped you in a way of sharing the global perspective? And how did you use that? Because now you are in India, you're building from here. Anything you'd like to share from a global point of view?
So I worked in 18 countries. Like one obviously was US, but also UK, most of Europe, Middle East, China, and many other places as well. But if I go back where the growth is, I think I'm in the right place. South Asia, it's the right place. It is not just about the number of people that lives, but it is also the complexities and also the delta upside that we are talking about. And it's very interesting. It's like chaos. It's kind of dynamic, but it is also where the hope resides. And I want to chase hope. I want to also chase happiness. I want to chase healthy things. One of the paradigm shift which has happened is we keep talking that Europe is very green. Like Europe is 40% green.
Yeah.
But you go under the layers, just 2% is indigenous forest. It's man-made forest.
Yeah.
You want to control the nature in completely different ways.
Yeah.
That's not the balancing thing. So the nature is going to caught up with you. But the same way, if you come in this area, like the global south, especially South Asia, we see things in a very different way. And that's what I think, if I want to look back, this is the right place that I want to be in. So I don't want to be saying that I'm here for the growth of me as a wealth creator. I say I want to be here to grow myself in terms of my own intellectual or health or happiness as well.
Yeah. And also making a great impact. Because I believe that right now you're in a position to create more opportunities for women. And you also mentioned behind the scenes when we were chatting, you suggested one of the notions that is paramount, and that is something that a lot of women struggle with, including myself when I started on my journey, that you are a pretty looking, an exotic looking girl. We'll talk about your value later, right? So this is something which is very much prevalent. And I think majority of the women, they go through this kind of experience. And you did mention about being equally valuable for what you bring on the table. So I would love to explore these thoughts with you, and would love to know your perspective.
So first of all, we have to admit that women are more smart, and they are also more, like I will say, intuitively much more clearer in terms of what they want to achieve. Obviously, I've been trained well as well. That's why I'm here and I'm trying to talk about it. But taking the attention back to what we are talking about is like, we have to imagine the world where the financial system today works on expenditure. And most of the women want to save. So technically, if the system has to be kind of preserved or saved, who is going to save it? It's the women, because most of the savings are done by women. But our rating agencies, or the way the whole economic system is working, it supports expenditure. So fair enough, because the men has made it. The same way, when we are talking about leadership or seeing women in business, we are not still ready for that. But at the same time, if we have to have more longevity in terms of how the economic system has to be built or sustain or grow, we need to have alternate views. We cannot have few men or white men deciding the future of the world of economic system. I don't think that's the right way.
It's absolutely true, because women also bring in a lot of visionary perspective. They can see things from different angles. I'm not saying that men are great at certain aspects, and women are very good in some bringing in some fresh energy and fresh perspective as well. And I think it's high time that we start to take that seriously and give women more opportunities to shine as leaders. So in your experience of building your business or being part of multiple other businesses, did you see that disparity happening? Did you see that there was a bias?
So if you ask me, I got into impact investing long back, like 2 decades back. And I felt like impact investing is about impact, and a lot of good things are going to happen. But unfortunately, when you look back, there were more condescending views. The intentionality was missing. And if you're talking about different, I will say, segments, you're talking about serving women, but you don't want to move out of your leadership. You're talking about a area called microfinance, where like millions and millions of women are there. But how many microfinance leaders or the owners are women? So what you are trying to do, you are saying that I'm going to give you a loan which is very expensive. I'm doing a charity. I'm giving you, I'm allowing you, I'm permitting you. That words are not going to serve the purpose of if you are really wanting to see each other equal. So what we did is we did a small paradigm shift, and that is not something very big change. What we did is we identified really cool, amazing indigenous women across the different spectrum of things. And we said, okay, let them lead it. Let them be the owner of the venture they are having. We are a small player in that whole thing, and they are the main people who will be kind of going into the next level. And the results were amazing. They did not just increase the whole persona of or the value of the business, but they also amplified the brand in a different way, the holistic way they work, and also the vision they have. They have a vision of next 10 to 20 years. They don't have a vision of small few years. Now, today we are talking about startups. Startup are saying, okay, let me quickly build the business. I will raise money and I'll sell it off. and I'll sit in Caribbean.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that.
Yeah.
You're not going. You're building business because you want to do something
Exactly.
worthwhile, right?
Yeah.
And that's where the paradigm shift came in. And one of the first Asian indigenous women led an own startup, raised money, small catalyst role we played. Second one, third one
Wow.
of entire Asia.
Amazing.
And this should have been done long back. And impact
Exactly.
investing has been existing for 2 decades or 3 decades. But the intentions were missing. We always say that we want to permit.
That's amazing. And I love that you are standing up for this and then you are bringing it up on this platform and of course kind of like expanding this horizon and sharing this perspective so that other people can also buy into this. It's important for the men to collectively give more space to the women to shine through. I also want to now slightly pivot to your journey and because this podcast is about true power and true power could mean different things to different people and we're going to explore what that means for you. And I want to just go a little bit in your personal story, in your personal journey. And you did mention about a few challenges that you have had, and you talked about getting failed in exams and then having self-doubt and stuff like that. How did you manage your growth path? Because a lot of our listeners right now are interested in hearing your story, in hearing what it takes to be successful at the level that you are, and also generating the impact. Because now the world is more chaotic. It's more noise. There's more to do. There's more to make. There's more to make money. But at the same time, there's more sense of competition. There's more self-doubt. There's more fluff rather than deeper grounding. So how did you manage those difficult self-judgments or self-talk?
Very intelligent question. Thanks for it. So if you look back, first of all, there are lots of different, I will say, phases of life, which I just mentioned, but at the same time, experiences which makes you evolve in a certain way. So it's very easy to say, oh, one day I had a eureka moment and I changed. I don't think I changed. It was a process. Every single day was okay, will I live or not live? Will I be able to live in Bombay or New York or whatever the places, or I will be thrown out? That kind of a condescending things were there. But at the same time, there was always a ray of hope. So many times what happens is when you look around, you sometimes are not able to have that kind of support system, which we primarily need to be as a human to evolve. So sometimes we are fortunate to have a support system. Sometimes we have to create it as well. And it's an investment. If we are creating, that means we need to have good friends. We need to have good peer learning groups and other things. At the same time, it is also important that sometimes you need to experience things yourself.
Yeah.
It's your journey. So you have to live it.
Yeah.
And it takes time. So if somebody says that I've just converted myself from A to B, it's
you
a
have
slow
to face
process.
your demons.
Yes.
You have to face what you're experiencing and then still move ahead.
Yeah.
Take the risk and move ahead. Because
Yeah.
if you don't move, if you don't take any action, nothing is going to anyways happen. And something will happen when you take action, right?
And this phase of instant gratification is one of the most dangerous things. So if I look back, I wanted to work in Bombay initially when I was just kind of shaping up. And I went to the prospective employer of mine and I said, hey, look, I want to work for Taj Bombay. And she said, what the hell, who you are? I said, I don't care what you pay, but I definitely want to consult, advise, or work for Taj Bombay because I felt like this is the best brand. But can we take that kind of a little longer approach towards things? And for that, you definitely on the other side, I was having all the fears of whatever the challenge is that what if she doesn't give me money to survive?
Yeah.
But then if I have not kind of taken that courage, small step, I will not say larger steps are required. Small step at a day helps you to take a bigger leap of faith later on.
Yeah, this reminds me of a quote by Brené Brown, who is a researcher and thinker. She said, you can either choose comfort or courage. You cannot choose both.
Absolutely.
So you chose the courage and you put yourself out there. And despite of the self-doubt and lack of resourcefulness, you created that environment where the opportunities begin to fall in your lap, right? Absolutely. And you have to allow those opportunities to come when even if you're not ready, because I think you can only be ready once you are in it, right? You cannot be fully ready before you jump into something.
Yeah.
I'd also like to explore with you the idea of mental health. And this is very close to my heart because I've had experiences of anxiety disorder. I've also taken antidepressants, and I've publicly always shared that in all different platforms. What has been that for you? And I feel like all of us go through different type of mental health issues. For some, it probably is never diagnosed, or it's not a clinical situation. Like overwhelm or stress is not a clinical situation. Chronic stress maybe or maybe not, but anxiety disorder, depression, these are clinical symptoms and clinically diagnosed mental health situations. But I believe all of us have accumulated stress, and we do that in our minds, right? Have you ever identified phases in your life when you were like, oh, my mental health is deteriorating and I got to figure out what's happening right now or make some changes?
So frankly speaking, this is the first time I'm also speaking about it. Like I had like that phase of life every single moment, if you ask me. Like it's not something, as humans, if you say I'm perfect, I'm brave, I'm like courageous, I'm perfect, like as a Superman, I don't think we are. We are as vulnerable as we are, but we want to show the so-called more stronger picture, men, masculinity, and other things. But if you ask, like this kind of a moment of self-doubt has been there, like for long, long time. At the same time, there's been a kind of a void as well sometimes, where what you see is like you need some space in terms of understanding of yourself. Like there are lots of times where there's a disagreement and other things are there, but you need a kind of a way of closure as well, closure of things. At the same time, there is also a thing where you are talking about different things and people feel like you are the best, you are good in everything, but at the same time, you want somebody to be normalized. So working with the so-called billionaires, when I'm talking about, one of the things which I also learned is they are so loner, like having some kind of very clear lonely phases of their side. They take antidepressant, all kinds of things. Coming from the way I've come from the journey, it was a luxury. I can't take a medicine because I did not have money. Let me be honest. I can't like go into a therapy or a rehab. I did not have luxury to do that. So you have to evolve in your own way. And today, when I look back, even though I might have a luxury, I have to now fight my own demons better. At the same time, you need to also open up to share with others, which is I'm very bad at, very, very bad. But I think if you have to evolve as a better human, we need to show some kind of a phase of yours, which is not the so-called hero version.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel that's the whole point of this question when I said, and then you mentioned that it is a continuous journey for you as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be some phases when you were mentally a little bit more disturbed, and there are phases that you picked up yourself and you're like, okay, we're going to go with the flow and see what happens. And then, there's a continuous self-care and self-evolution that is happening while you're taking care of your mental health. And I would love to know your discipline and motivation behind building this whole business and creating this larger impact. What do you do?
Great. What I do is a very important question, and that is most difficult for me to also explain, like because a lot of people assume different things. But if I go back, like I see one very important thing in life called death in a very holistic way. It has to come. So most of our so-called the richest people of the world, they feel they are immortals. They behave in that way. And I feel I can die anytime. And I had lots of moments where death was very, very narrow, like I was having narrow escape. So what if I die tomorrow? Will I be known as a badass rich guy who did not supported anybody or never like was actually part of their like happiness? Or I want to be a better person if I die tomorrow. So the whole quest is all about like identifying a small phase, like when I was born, where I was born, I can't decide.
Yeah.
But how I will end up my life, at least I can attempt to do that.
Yeah.
And I want to be a better human.
Yeah.
And in that quest, when I'm talking about these indigenous people or let's say the amazing people around in the hinterlands and others, I see lots of ray of hope.
Yeah.
And in their struggles, in their curiosity, in their like dreams, I see myself.
Yeah.
Like there's somebody who's like in the last village of India, in the Karakoram Saltora range in Siachen. This boy is there. He has a very small dream. When we met, he said, "I want to do something which can help this last village of India to be self-sustained. Nothing big.
Yeah.
We feel,
But that's impactful.
it's impactful. But can I say that, okay, I'll give you some money and that's the only thing I can do and let's finish it off? Or we both becomes partner or friends, and he evolved in terms of his business, not just the dream, but also amplify this dream to be global.
Yeah.
In his own way,
Yeah.
not my way.
Yeah.
The same way this woman, which I'm saying, she's from Sikkim and she want to have Sikkim known in a very different way.
Yeah.
Where it is purity of thought. There is also some kind of sensibility around how they're building businesses. But Himalayan people, like if you ask, or the hinterland, if you ask, they are very different. Like if I go into a village, like you will resonate in Punjab as well.
Yeah.
People will open their houses,
and
doors,
homes,
and they will
yeah.
say, okay, putter, khana kha le.
Yeah.
They will not ask what is the price tag it is there or are we too busy. But in the big cities, when you come, you need to take an appointment. Mil sakte hain, nahi mil sakte hain.
Facades, yeah.
Facades are there. Then lots of like layers of relationships and other things
Yeah.
are there. So can we go back to basics?
Yeah.
And that also is important why we are talking about the mental issues and other things. That kind of gets into the same thing because we have so much of layers
Yeah.
that we are talking about each other on social medias,
Yeah.
but don't want to meet each other.
Meet each other. And the vulnerability is very important because when you're vulnerable,
Yeah.
you shed these layers and you just be. If you're crying, you're crying. If you're sad, you're sad. If you're angry, you're angry. And you're able to express that feeling without inhibitions, without
Absolutely.
fear of judgments. And you feel there is a sense of community. And the sense of community, I think, and I can sense it from this conversation that I'm learning more about you and learning how you're building different businesses with these amazing people and like giving them the opportunity. So you're betting on people, right? And this is the most beautiful thing. And also betting on the people who are in like narrow lanes, like in different parts of the world, especially where the reach is minimum. And which is so instrumental because you're giving opportunity to one, it rubs off the shoulder with many other people who could be a part of that ecosystem. And it in turn give the opportunities to so many other people who are in that vicinity. How does it make you feel? Like this is so thrilling. I'm so
It's
first of
super
all,
thrilling.
so happy about it.
So if you ask, like we get people from across the world, like they find us, like and we are like a little bit like crazy guys. We did not even had a website, proper one. We just had a website a few years back. It's word of mouth, and people come from far off places, from US to Europe to everybody. Ivy League colleges kids just leave their jobs, or they don't take the placement. They come and work with us. The same way here in India as well. The best of the B colleges, they just leave it. They want to experience what we are trying to build. And the reason is also very obvious if you see. What is wealth we are talking about? Let's say we are talking about Amazon.com. Amazon.com is valued as $2 trillion and above. Like now it is hovering toward $2.5 trillion. But if I say Amazon Forest, which is the lifeline of the world, it is not even valued 5% or 4% of the Amazon.com.
True.
Then what is a specific, like you are talking about paper money.
Yeah.
The same way we are talking about Tesla, Elon Musk, the richest guy and other things. But what is the actual real wealth he has? You're talking about SpaceX, we are talking about Tesla. You are wanting to take humans to Mars. What about here?
Yeah.
What about Earth?
Yeah.
This is I want to bet on Earth. I want to keep the Earth as the only option. If I keep it, I will see a beautiful world.
Yeah. And
But
it
if
can
I want
sustain.
sustain. Will he go to Mars and settle himself there? No. He'll settle in people. He will sell the dream and he will just increase the valuation in stock exchange, which is the easiest thing. We are in Bombay. We do it every single day. Okay. We know how to do it. It's a hacking of the valuations. But is it actually scientific? I don't think so.
Yeah. You brought a very solid point, and I love the courage here that you are very upfront about these fabrications and these ideas and these dreams that are irrelevant to a common person, irrelevant to somebody who's sitting in his house and not knowing what to do next. I think we collectively as community should more focus on the people who are here and bringing them together, especially the underprivileged ones, giving them more opportunities and bet on them. And there is enough right now available for all of us to not stay hungry, not die of diseases that could be cured with vaccinations and stuff. But we're still lagging behind those basics that are at least important for them to sustain or live their life. And survival, basically, just the survival part, right? And I would like to also explore with you the next phases. Where do you see yourself going from here? And how do you think your journey so far or the experiences is going to shape that path for you?
So we are creating a kind of a disruption in the world's economic system. It's slow but steady. So just imagine I'm a farmer, and small farm holders, if you ask me, in the world are the custodian of the purest food that you have. At the same time, one side you are getting into the commercialization of farming. And when you are getting into commercialization, you'll only grow crops which are primarily giving you money, enough money. So you'll make corns, the wheats, the rice, or some other things, or the sugarcane and others. But the small farm holders grow something which makes you healthy, keeps you happy. Now, let's take a scenario of coffee and cocoa, just two things. I'll not talk about two more things. If you visualize the economic system of the world, coffee and cocoa, yes, you can have contract farming and other things, but they are declining. The production is declining, but the consumption is increasing. So what does it mean? You can have bitcoins, which can increase in the price. You can have a so-called tech company which valuation is increasing. You cannot increase the production of a foodstuff because it takes 6 to 8 years to grow coffee tree.
Yeah.
At the same time, if you need an organic coffee tree, that's more different. In the same way, we are talking about two commodities which are equivalent to $1 trillion. Not small. But when you talk about Switzerland, Lindt chocolate and many others, you always see a word manufactured or the source from Switzerland. What was the last time Switzerland, Belgium, France grew cocoa? Never. Can't you write it that it is not mine? I'm just doing a value add in a produce which was done in the Africa or Asia or Latin America. And it's going to happen. That's what we are trying to create. It's a very simple thing. We are saying that lighthouse place-based venture building for indigenous and local people. We are saying let's build the brands, let's build the value at source.
Yeah, love it.
And the moment you do source, everything is going to change.
Yeah.
So just like coffee and cocoa, there are lots of different commodities which are like that. Right now they're undervalued because there's a cartel.
Yeah.
There's a kind of way you are kind of doing into the trading thing. We are shifting the cartel or the trading, the wealth creation to the people.
Yeah, and that's what you said at the beginning while I introduced you, the repositioning of the wealth to where it belongs. So Anuj, you have a very strong portfolio in the Himalayas. Why are you focused there?
Yeah, very, very important thing for us. So if you look upon, first is 25% of the humanity of the entire world depends on Himalayas directly for water needs. And the same way, 25% indirectly. So we are talking of 50% of humanity depending on a biodiverse geography, which is so highly undervalued today. It is termed as the conflict geography one side, sometimes it is a poorest geography one side, or it is indigenous and exotic. We see them as a living microcosm, and we also see them as a fulcrum of the earth. So if the beautiful earth or the entire earth as we see needs to be kind of have any hope for future decades or the centuries and others, we need to find a way to amplify the cause of Himalayas and indigenous people, because that's where the learning, the philosophies and everything emerged in. And for us, it is also very important that when we talk about the tech world, you're talking about $20 to $22 trillion of valuation of Magnificent Seven. At the same time, the entire Himalaya is not even valued $100 billion, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Billion, I'm talking trillion.
Yeah.
But at the same time, here, the existential challenge is there. Humanity existential challenge. And just like as humans are irrational, sometimes we are not even perceiving and feeling what is climate change. We are not perceiving if the water is finished.
Yeah.
Drinking water, or what if the climate change is not there? Now, if you go to Delhi or if you go to any other big cities where they're running for their fresh water, fresh air and fresh food, they're getting into mountains. Yeah. They're buying properties and they are thinking that they will be saved. Yeah. It's not like that. Why not we find a coexistence that we say that indigenous people know more, indigenous people who own the brands of their own, and they support the so-called city people in terms of amplifying our own life. Yeah. Our own living, our own happiness as well. We learn their way.
Wow. So this is really impactful, going back to your roots and helping indigenous people who are the custodian of the biodiversity and making this global impact. This leads me to the closing question. I wish I can continue having conversation with you because this is really interesting. But I want you to talk about the true power that you feel you have experienced while you're making these huge leaps You are growing your business. You're invested in this amazing, impactful ventures. Where do you see your true power emanating from, or how do you define the true power?
So it's actually comes from people like you all. It comes from the people that are there, like the custodians of the nature or the biodiversity, the indigenous people. And if you see the future of business as well, will be just three: the fresh food, fresh air, and fresh water. And these guys are experts in it. And when we took upon, like, people are getting into tech, larger tech, complex tech, and getting into Mars and Jupiter, but we are going back to the roots. And that's where the true power comes in, where you know that you are nobody.
Yeah.
When you look at Himalayas, you have to look like this, like, because you are nobody.
Yeah.
You can have a best of the Teslas or the Ferraris or Rolex.
Yeah.
But when you stand at the base camp of Himalayas, you know, you don't exist, because you need to be humble.
Oh,
And that
sweet.
humility, and also, can you let go of certain things in terms of when we are talking about the value systems? That's why the true power is saving some kind of a very basic thing of not letting go in terms of one perspective, but letting go of your egos, and also letting go of things that I want to win. Can we win? So it's the we win thing is what the Himalayan people teaches us. What they are saying is, okay, you want to win, you want to be very rich, you want to be prosperous, fair enough. Let me be also be. That's the
Wow.
only thing.
So it's fair to say that true power for you is letting go of your ego, be humble, and do your best, not to just be fruitful to you, but for the environment and the communities at large.
So,
Absolutely enlightening conversation with you, Anuj. And I'm so happy to have this conversation with you. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your light, and your experiences with our audiences and helping them take better decisions in their life and unlock their true power. Thank you so much for joining today.
thank you. Equally a pleasure to be here.